What's going on? Let's talk Star Wars. So I want to go through all of the films leading up to the newest one that's going to come out on the 20th. And what I'd like to do is read the opening scroll and then some information and then some thoughts, and that'll be it. I'm all ready with my Darth Vader toboggan with mouse ears here, which is very warm actually. So, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. This takes place 32 years before Star Wars, later known as A New Hope, and now Episode 4, A New Hope. So, there that is. Okay. Turmoil has engulfed the Galactic Republic. The taxation on trade routes to outlying star systems is in dispute. Hoping to resolve the matter with a blockade of deadly battleships, the greedy Trade Federation has stopped all shipping to the small planet of Naboo. While the Congress of the Republic endlessly debate the alarming chain of events, the Supreme Chancellor has secretly dispatched 2 Jedi Knights, the guardians of peace and justice in the galaxy, to settle the conflict. Now this, like I said, this is 32 years before A New Hope. This is right around 22 years, around that time period, since we had a Star Wars movie in, my camera's all messed up, in the theaters. So this thing's getting on my nerves. So it was all new. 1999. It was a fresh start for Star Wars. Everybody, it was all the talk, just like I imagine New Hope was back in the day. I just watched Harry's video on his memories of Star Wars a few hours ago, and I decided, I'm going to start these on the first and get us through to Rise of the Skywalker. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, Phantom Menace. I remember there being a gigantic line for this film, but I had an inside source to get us in a little earlier at the cinema that I go to on a regular basis, the Wheelersburg Cinema. So we got in. It was just me and my wife. We watched Phantom Menace. I remember the opening crawl coming out, and just as excited as I was, what I just read was like, it wasn't that, it didn't settle with me right, especially and I'm talking after the movie, and I'm thinking, I don't know. But during the movie, thoughts on during the movie. Okay, we have young Anakin, who I absolutely did not like. Jake Lloyd did a terrible job of just acting in general. Jar Jar actually doesn't bother me as much as little Anakin does. We go from Tatooine, where he is a servant, a slave, to Watto, and and then we get Anakin. And we, at this point, there's been lightsabers already. When we meet Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan in the Trade Federation ship is a giant highlight to this film. When they first light up the sabers and are killing the battle droids, that is great. Because before we didn't really have that many lightsabers in Star Wars in the previous 3. And when Qui-Gon melts through the door and is trying to cut a hole in the door, I thought that this is really something. We're going to see a lot of this stuff. We're really going to see the lightsabers. And, we do for the most part. Now, after we save Anakin and we go, we've already met Queen Amidala, we've got Anakin, we go back to Coruscant, which I had only known from the books. I was an avid reader of the books before a certain event in the books, and I just stopped reading. I haven't read any of the new canon stuff. I do read the comic books, but that's it. When we get to Naboo and we meet Jar Jar, he kind of got on my nerves, but he just didn't bother me that much. As compared to Anakin, I was focused on disliking Anakin so much that he really didn't bug me. After that, we have, more lightsabers. We meet Darth Maul, who is a fantastic 10-minute villain. He's Return of the Jedi's Boba Fett. And, then we see the Jedi funeral. Now, a little bit about this. I bought, and I've probably talked about this shit before, but it doesn't matter. I bought the soundtrack to Phantom Menace, and it had an amazing score. And I remember listening to it quite a few times. And I read the back of it, and the last song, I think before ending credits, was Qui-Gon's funeral. At the time, I didn't know who the hell Qui-Gon was, because the internet wasn't like the internet is today, and I really knew very little about this. And then finding out, the beginning where, hey, this is Qui-Gon Jinn. Oh, guess what? He's going to fucking die. My only thing going into this that I was for sure of was we were going to see young Anakin and Obi-Wan. And I was very, very excited. Obi-Wan is a very, very special character to me. I really enjoy him throughout the story. All the way through the stories. But yeah, my thoughts on episode 1 are kind of neutral. It's not my favorite of the prequels by any means, but I do enjoy it. I enjoy all of them. I'm really that person that, I'm not, I guess you could call me a fanboy because I do love Star Wars so much, but I'm not to the point where I pick apart every little fucking thing that they do. And we'll talk about that as we go through the films. Certain things that people dislike, just like Jar Jar. People have had problems with Jar Jar since 1999. It took all the heat off the Ewoks and just took over. And I think that he's not that bad of a character. He's kind of needed in a few spots. And they do a good job of, in the later films, of, hey, we don't really need him. So, and he's got a huge turning point coming up in a movie, and it's because he's such a fucking moron that we get this. So he's our comic relief, he's our C-3PO, our R2-D2. He's that for us. So, of course, starring in the film, we have Liam Neeson, Ewan McGregor, Natalie Portman, Jake Lloyd, who I really don't know anything except for Jingle All the Way, maybe. Ian McDiarmid, Anthony Daniels, Kenny Baker, and Frank Oz. So, and I really wish, I think they really could have done a puppet to go with Yoda. And the thing about this is, if Empire Strikes Back, if you make a puppet look like a real character and interact with real characters, you should be able to do this in 1999. And it was kind of a disgrace for Yoda fans, Star Wars fans in general. We get to see the Jedi Council for the first time, and that was pretty cool. everything about this is what Star Wars fans have wanted since they first laid eyes on Star Wars in 1977. I was 3 years old. Harry's got a little bit on me. He said he was 10. So I have been told that I seen it in a theater because my parents went. I don't remember that whatsoever. My first Star Wars memories are Empire Strikes Back in the theater. Before that, I did collect the action figures like crazy. We went to this grocery store. We lived in Missouri at the time. My father was in the Air Force, and it was called Safeway. I don't even know if they're around anymore. There are none here in Ohio. But on end caps, they had Star Wars figures, and every time we would go, I would be allowed to get one or two. And I don't know, my memory is so fucked up and screwed up over years, but I remember them being $1.97. I don't know how I remember that. But all through the Star Wars era, from 77 to 83, I collected everything I could get my hands on. I still have all of my figures, all of my ships, and I even have a Rebel blockade runner, which, if you don't know what that is, it's the ship that they get away on of the Rebels, the most recent one you've seen in The Last Jedi. I still have one in the box, so there's that. So anyway, that's Phantom Menace. I hope these get a little bit more unawkward to talk about as I go on. But if not, fuck it, and may the Force be with you.